everyone, it's me Tia. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to be doing a story time about what it was like about me being pregnant when I was in high school, junior year to be exact. Now, I made a video last week talking about my experiences of me being pregnant, and I told you guys that I wanted to make a separate video going into the high school portion because it was just a whole nother ball game. Now here we are. I am ready to talk about my experiences, especially because after this video, I'm probably never going to talk about high school again. And yeah, let's get on with this video. So just a recap, especially for those who don't know, I found out that I was pregnant at the end of my sophomore year. I went into my junior year a little bit over my second trimester, and of course there was a lot of changes. So I'll start from kind of like the beginning, near like the summer to August. So of course, you know, me being pregnant and me deciding that we are going to keep and raise the child, I obviously was thinking about school a lot. I didn't really have a full elaborate plan on how exactly I was even going to navigate school, and especially like after the fact. Like me being pregnant, I kind of understood a little bit what I was going to do, but after I had my daughter, I was still like thinking about how exactly that was going to be. However, one thing that I did tell myself was that I was not going to drop out under any circumstances. That just was not happening. Super unrelated, but it's so crazy because these days like jobs be wanting you to have a bachelor's degree and up. It's like diplomas aren't even like the bare minimum anymore. Let's get into the month of August. So I have a lot of goals and just things that I have set up for myself to succeed this year, because the year prior, sophomore year, was probably one of the worst times of my life. It was the most craziest, wildest, but also funnest year of my life. I skipped class literally every single day. There would be times where I would go to school every day in the car, driving, going to school, and not go to any of my classes. It's so fucking sad and pathetic now looking back at it, but that was my reality. I didn't give a fuck. And obviously because, you know, me being more mature, and especially because I'm carrying life now, I didn't want to bring any of that habits into this year. Also, some new changes that happened. And I also do want to mention that I also went into this year not telling anybody about my pregnancy. The only ones that really knew about my pregnancy was the nurse and the teachers. The reason for that was because I just really didn't want to deal with any drama, any negativity that anybody was going to throw my way. That's just something that I just really didn't want to deal with. I'm not a drama involved person to begin with. I'm pretty likable. However, we all know how people treat teen moms. I really didn't want to deal with that. Another new change this year was that bus schedule has changed. Instead of it being like, say this is my house, and then say this is the bus stop. So before it was a straight shot. However, now my house was right here, and like the bus stop was like all the way over here. Like they changed it. This is a very important detail, by the way, to know for later, which is why I'm telling you. So yeah, there was a lot of changes, but I came in there with an open mind. It was positive. On the first day of school, I remembered I was super dolled up. I remembered I got up at like 4. I got up at 4. I remembered I would do a full face of makeup. The main reason for this really was because I got interested in like doing makeup more at this time. So I was doing my makeup. I, you know, had my hair done, fucking like my outfit was dripped down. I had a New York Yankee hat, a 2-piece set, flannel, and some Yeezys. And also at the point of this pregnancy, I never really carried small. However, in my second trimester, you really couldn't tell that I had a bump, so it's not like I had to like hide the bump to everybody. Stay at school, I remembered I go into my counselor's office because I was going to tell her the news. I was pregnant in my second trimester. He was being super nice, and over time we both came up with an elaborate plan. I completely forgot to mention what the plan was going to be. In that current semester, I was going to be going into school regularly as normal, and next semester, I was going to be enrolled fully online. This online school was self-paced, so I can log in and do my work whenever, and I could go as fast or as slow as I wanted to. Also, in the current semester, I also was enrolled in online school part-time, so whenever I was finished with classes, I could always go home and do my classes online as well, so I can get the credit faster. I have no idea why I forgot to mention that in the video, but that's all I wanted to say. One of the ways that she supported me was talking to my teachers. Now, my teachers didn't officially know that I was pregnant. However, me and the counselor also told them that I did have like medical reasons, the reason why I may need to like use the bathroom more frequently or whatever the case was. She did talk to them about that, and the nurses also knew. So occasionally, if I was just feeling very, very sick due to morning sickness, they would allow me to be in, rested. So it was very, very nice. I had a lot of like teacher support. As for friends, this was hands down the loneliest year that I ever had in school. Like, a lot of the people I cut off, I'm being completely real, but it's not because I just cut them off just to be stubborn. Like, a lot of these people really just done me so dirty, especially for so long, to the point where it's just like I just really didn't want to deal with that anymore, especially for me being pregnant. A lot of the people, you know, were very fake to me, like put me down. That's why I cut off a lot of my friends, and also some of them moved. I had no one. Honestly, the only one that I even had was my fiance, which he was definitely my rock during school because he got his first car. He got his car in senior year. And I remembered, you know, for lunch at our school, we had open lunch. So whenever it was lunchtime, we're not just restricted to the building. We're able to go out, walk to any of the nearest restaurants that's by us and get food and then come back. Obviously, with me being pregnant and it hurting all the time for me to walk, he would drive me to places. I remembered I was always getting Chick-fil-A. I was just craving that all the time, and he would do that. He was very supportive and helpful to me. But of course, you know, there would be some days where he would be absent or he was like sick and couldn't come. So I did have to eat by myself, really. And this is a very sad fact. Like, looking back, I realized I deserved so much better, because it's like I truly was such a lonely bitch. I remembered what I would do was my period before lunch, I would leave very, very early. I would quickly go to the pizza place by my school, get a slice of pizza, eat it, and then leave before any of the kids could come out, because I honestly was embarrassed eating lunch alone. I was honestly embarrassed because that's what I did. There was some good things that was happening this year also. Did have a free period. Typically at this time, I don't know if they changed it, but you get 7 periods in your classes. I had a free period, but my free period happened to be in 7th period, so I technically only had 6 classes. I was basically able to leave the school at 1 o'clock, and that's what happened. I never took the bus. That's one thing. I never took the bus home. My mom would be the one to pick me up and take me from the bus, and this would be very fun, because I remember there would be times where she would take me to the mall to get pretzel bites. I was craving pretzel bites like crazy when I was pregnant, and we would just hang out together. Me and my mom's bond at this time was so strong. It's still strong now, but especially during this time, she was my rock too. And you know, some of my classes were really good too. I really enjoyed economics. It was very interesting. Definitely taught me a lot about like credit cards and like financial literacy. And I would say forensic science also was another class that was like really intriguing to me. Never went to any games this year, any events. I did go to one, but I'll mention that later. What I was dealing with at school was eating lunch, like, you know, only with my fiance or by myself, being lonely, and really not even talking to anybody. I remember the first few weeks to a month of school, I was doing really well in my classes. I was getting straight A's. I was turning in my assignments on time. I was communicating effectively with my teachers, and also engaging in my coursework. So I was very, you know, just optimistic, and I really just meant business, because I knew that I want to graduate. Not even just for me, but because for my baby. You know, my baby doesn't deserve like a dropout mom. She doesn't. So I, you know, kept on going. I will be honest though, there would be a lot of times, especially during like free periods or like whenever we had like break, I would go on my phone. I would constantly just browse Amazon. That was one of my favorite like activities and habits to do when I was pregnant, is always looking up baby stuff. I would love to watch pregnancy videos on TikTok. I loved looking up, like, there was this website called Very Well Family. They changed it to parents.com, but it was like a parenting website. I loved to educate myself all on that. Like I said, the first few months was good. I was also, like I said, getting up in the morning, getting up on time, always just being punctual and getting to my classes. I always looked cute. My outfits were always cute. I always had like my makeup done. I was just a baddie. Like, I remember at this time, I still had like my long nails. I had to abandon abandoned my long nails after I had my daughter. But at this time, I remember I was still, you know, rocking my long nails. I was getting my lash extensions done. Girl, like I was literally like, I was such a baddie. I also had income coming in without working. I had social security income coming to me. I would get that every month. It was like $2K a month. And the reason for that is because he's a veteran, like a war veteran. So he had a lot of fucking benefits. And because I'm his daughter, I got a lot. So I was basically able to spend whatever I wanted with the money, mostly on pregnancy stuff. Like I was doing the damn thing. But yeah, anyways, you know, so that's how it was kind of going at first. And then I would say like September, October-ish, that's when things, I would say actually mid-September is when things really just went down fucking hill. I feel like this is when the loneliness really started to kick in of me being at school, because it's like I already felt lonely as fuck, and then me being pregnant just made me even more fucking lonely, especially when I could see like everyone else with their friend groups and I had no one. Like I wasn't talking to anybody. It definitely really got to me at this time. Honestly, just made me just kind of ashamed and just embarrassed to go to school, really. Tired of just eating my lunch, you know, by myself. There was one point where it was lunchtime. My fiance wasn't here, which sucks. He was sick, so of course I understood, but he wasn't there. So that was one of the days where I had to eat by myself. However, I didn't have like any money. I took my lunch and I went through like a place where there was like a staircase kind of, and I kind of went under it to eat my lunch, because again, it's like I just felt embarrassed of being alone and just not having anybody. So fucking sad. Like I deserve so much fucking better, but you know, that was my reality. And it was just getting hard physically to also come into school. Like I said, it got to the point where like my belly was just so big, I was waddling, just walking anywhere hurted. Like I was always just like not feeling good at all. And unfortunately for me, morning sickness continued throughout my whole pregnancy. In fact, it started slowing down in my second trimester. However, in my third trimester, it started to go back to the intensity it was in my first trimester. So I was dealing with that. Also the bus, this is something that I mentioned earlier, but taking the bus in the morning also became a problem, because again, it's like it wasn't just like straight through my bus stop. It was now I had to like go walk, turn, go left. Like it was so fucking extra. I had to just fucking like, it would just be so painful for me to even like get to the bus, like walking that long. And then it got to the point where now like my mom or my fiance was just driving me to work. It just got to that point. You know, also another thing about the bus was that it came earlier this year. I remember before it would come at like 7. Now it came at 6 o'clock. So I did have to wake up earlier. At this point, I was no longer waking up at 4 a.m. because I realized I was extra as fuck. I was waking up at 5 a.m. However, it felt like I was always tired. I would literally go to bed at 8 o'clock, wake up at 5 a.m. That's more than 8 hours. However, I would still be tired because that's a symptom of pregnancy. And it was just so annoying. And then I would still be at the school. That's another thing. Like we would get to the school maybe at like 6:20, but the school wouldn't open up until 6:40. So we were like the first ones there to get to school, and we would just kind of like wait outside until the doors unlocked. I did this before and it didn't really bother me, but since the loneliness and just me not having any friends kicked in more, I was ashamed of just being there. I would literally just walk around the building or just go into like a place to sit until it was time to go in. In fact, I actually remember I used to go to Carl's Jr. I used to go to Carl's Jr. and sit in there to wait for like the gates to open, because I was just alone. I just looked so fucking sad and depressed. I just looked like a fucking loser, honestly. And at this point, I also was staying home a lot. You know, a lot of times it wouldn't be my fault. I would like throw up on the premises, or I would just be in so much pain in the nurse's office where they feel like they deemed me that I needed to go home. But there was also times where nothing was really wrong with me, but I still wanted to go home because I hated school that bad. My grades started slipping. I did not have straight A's anymore. I had like C's, D's, and F's. And again, it was so sad because it reminded me of my sophomore year self. Like I told y'all, I didn't give a fuck that year. I did whatever the fuck I wanted. I was ditching a lot. I didn't care about school. I didn't give a fuck about myself, really. And it's like, I felt like that version of me was slowly getting back. Me and my mom talked to my counselor. We asked if it was okay for me just to go online fully now, just abandon this fucking semester and just me going online. However, unfortunately, because I already started the year in person, and for for me to like switch different schools, I would lose all the credits that I had that semester because it wasn't finished yet. And obviously I didn't want to do that because that meant like all the hard work that I even put in that stressed me the fuck out would just be for nothing, and it just made me sad. I remember I was breaking down, feeling like I failed my daughter, and I felt like a lot of the realizations was coming in. Not even like realizations, because it wasn't like I was just being delusional, like, oh yeah, like I'm a teen mom, but that doesn't mean things are gonna be shitty, everything's gonna be perfect. Obviously I wasn't like that, but I also did have high confidence in myself to complete school. I didn't think that I'd be a dropout just because statistics said that most teenagers drop out. The moment that kind of broke me, I remember I went on YouTube because that was something I love to do. I like to look at teen mom content. It motivated me a lot. I remember I was looking up like graduating as a teen mom. Now, I will say that I may be different now, especially because I feel like people are more acceptive of teen moms, not teen pregnancy itself, but just accepting teen moms and realizing that we're people too. So there's a lot more content of like teen moms graduating and shit now. But at the time in 2022, there was not a lot. I was looking up graduating high school as a teen mom, and there was literally only two types of content that came up. It was either teen moms who were like 18 and 19 years old that graduated high school. They were like pregnant in their senior year and was able to graduate. And don't get me wrong, like it's an accomplishment. I'm not saying it's not, but it's like obviously there's a difference between a 19-year-old teen mom and a 16-year-old teen mom. I still had school going on when I have my daughter, you know? Or it would be teen moms who dropped out, and then when they were adults, they ended up getting their GED. It was like, I could not for the life of me find anything that was like, oh, I'm a 15-year-old teen mom and I was able to graduate my diploma. You know what I mean? So why I feel like this was the moment that broke me was because I honestly just felt like, you know, what I'm doing is impossible. I told myself, it's like, there's a reason why, you know, most teen moms don't succeed, hurting your child, you know, like I literally was feeling all of that stuff. And I remember just crying. I remembered I was looking up, this shit's gonna make me so emotional. I remember I was looking up like dropping out of school. I remember I was looking up dropout statistics, and again, like high school dropout statistics aren't good either. I was looking up getting my GED. Like I was just so fucking hurt, like so hurt. And then I don't know what made me want to do this, but I remembered I went into my notes app, because what I used to do you know, for my daughter when I was pregnant was like write stuff in like the notes, documenting my pregnancy, documenting my feelings, and you know, really directing it to her so in the future she can read this. And I remembered the things that I said early on in my pregnancy was like, that I'm never gonna do is have you struggle. And that's honestly the motto that I live by. In fact, I want to show you guys something. Even till this day, like I tell myself, like, I don't give a fuck what you're going through. You're not letting Chanel struggle. That's my daughter's name, Chanel. You're going to fucking do it, because she doesn't deserve to be in that shit. You know what I mean? I had a family of teen moms, you know. Unfortunately, teen pregnancy is a generational curse in my family, you know, and it's a lot of like sad reasons behind it. And I definitely could see, you know, a lot of the family members that did have kids when they were teenagers struggling and not really doing the best in life. And it's like, I didn't want that. And I remembered like something kind of clicked inside of me. It was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like all like the bad feelings and worries kind of cleared up. When I like read that thing, when I read what I said to her in the notes, I was like, you're right. Like, I'm not going to let her struggle. She doesn't fucking deserve to grow up in poverty just because I'm the one that decided to fucking drop out in high school. Now I'm working at fucking McDonald's. Even these days, bro, fucking fast food places want you to have fucking diplomas. So that's not even a good example. Like, oh, you know, my mom is now making $11 an hour just because she didn't want to finish her education. I'm growing up poor. It's all her fucking fault. You know what I mean? I didn't want that. I told myself that day that I don't give a fuck what you're going through. You have a child now. It doesn't matter the reasons, the circumstances, because trust me, I definitely have a story that influenced why I was so acceptive of sexual behavior at a young age. But it doesn't fucking matter anymore, because now you have a child. You have another life that never asked to be here. I'm not gonna let my child struggle. That's one thing I told myself, and I continue to tell myself. So that day forward, I quite literally just sucked it the fuck up. My feelings, just being stressed out, fucking tired, not going to school, I sucked it the fuck up, went mostly every single day. I say mostly because, again, unfortunately, there were some days where I just literally couldn't go. But most of the times, I was going to school. I did my fucking thing because like I was so motivated to just get this semester over with and finally do online school. And even though it was a hard thing, I'm not gonna sit here and just lie to y'all. It was not easy. I was stressed out a lot of the times, especially during finals week. However, I did communicate really frequently with my teachers, and they understood so much because I mean, even though I wasn't the best in sophomore year, I feel like they can kind of tell I was just under the wrong influence. But in reality, I'm a good student. I'm trying, and they understand that even though they don't know that I'm pregnant, but I'm still going through something and I'm trying. 2 of my teachers decided to sign off the final for me. Now it was a process, you know, obviously I had to prove the reason why I just could not do the finals. And you know, that was accepted very quickly because I literally couldn't because of my belly, and they were being very supportive. My teachers, I also love them to death. Not only my counselor, but I loved my teachers to death because they were amazing. And also the principal and like someone else also had to sign off of it to make me an exception. And like I said in my last video, the last day of school was also very bittersweet. I remembered looking at everything really around me because I knew from this point forward, or I thought I knew from this point forward, that I was going to be online in my senior year too. So I definitely was saying goodbye to like a lot of the stuff. I remember at the last day of school, I was walking around, I was looking at the parking garage that me and my friends used to skip on, friends. I remembered I was looking at a lot of the stuff that me and my friends would do stupid shit on in sophomore year. You know, it was definitely a very bittersweet moment, but it was more sweet than bitter because I was happy. You know, I was ready to get out of school. I didn't give a fuck anymore. Like, I'm just like, I fucking hated school. I was miserable every day. I was lonely. I had no friends. I was hurting every time I came here. I'm done. I'm okay with it. I'm done. And that's when winter break started. Now, January 6th was when schools were back open for winter break, and I was officially online. Like I said, this is a self-paced online school. However, instead of me going slower, I was going faster. I was accelerating in my classwork. While my fiance was still going into school. So then I had my daughter in the middle of January, still doing online school. I remember me getting out of the hospital 2 days after I had my daughter. I literally remember her having, I have a photo of it too. I was breastfeeding, having her hunched, like, like hunching my fucking back and like, you know, breastfeeding her to like get to the computer to also do my assignments. Cause like I was, you know, I didn't have any complications safely in birth, but I still, you know, was in a lot of pain. I did have a 2nd-degree tear that fucking hurted like shit. I was hurting still, you know, and my boobs were still hurting. I was breastfeeding exclusively also. So it's like, it was hurting, but I still got up and did my damn schoolwork. I remembered I was doing really good in my schoolwork. I remembered my online teacher and, you know, my counselor, they were still supporting me and just kind of motivating me to go through it. And then I think in around March, that's when my counselor and my online teacher proposed an idea for me to graduate in 2023 because I was initially supposed to be class of 2024. And I was like, graduate early, you say? Now, there was a few options, and I'm going to tell y'all. So, you know, the first one is to graduate in 2023. The second option was to graduate in 2024, go in your senior year, you know, making sure that having your child in daycare and doing like college courses to like full enrollment. Third one was to graduate in 2024, go into senior year, but I may have like 2 classes because I got in like most of my credit. I'm like, first of all, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but that's like the most dumbest stuff ever. Like, anyone was presented with those 3 options and they chose option C, what the fuck are you doing, bitch? What are you doing? Obviously, I was like, I want to graduate early. Get me the fuck out of here, because I'm not even gonna lie, like, I didn't even know what I was even gonna do in senior year. I honestly thought I was gonna graduate a year late because I felt like I probably had a lot of catching up to do. But no, I was doing so well in my classes. I literally had like most of my classes done because, mind you, you know, I had junior classes, and on top of that, you know, I had a little bit of sophomore year classes that I failed because I was an idiot. And then I'm also now like going into my senior classes. So I was doing so fucking good to the point where it's like I was accelerating more than everyone else. And I knew this because there was a time where after everything was situated, I did choose the option to graduate early. I did go into the online schools like building, and I was talking to my teacher. She was just talking to me about like other requirements, like, you know, like the capstone and stuff. And I remember she had like her computer monitor turns toward me while she was like doing something, and I remember there was like a list of like people's names like from different schools, around the district. Things like this person never even fucking logged into their classes. Some that is like they're graduating on time. I was the only one that had the green. Everyone else was like red or yellow, meaning like they're not on track or they're kind of on track. I was the only one on green. Mind you, my notes on the thing said that she has a baby girl named Chanel. No one else on their notes said that they had kids, meaning that I'm a fucking teen parent, right? Statistically, I'm supposed to be the one that's gonna fucking drop out, statistically speaking. But it's like the fact that I'm doing better than everybody else, despite me having a kid on my hip, just shows that, like, you can fucking do it, If I was able to fucking do it, you can do it too. Like, let's be so for real. I was very proud of myself also when I said that. I'm like, shit, like that's cool as fuck, because it's like I knew I was accelerating a lot, but I didn't know that I was like the only one that was actually like doing good. So yeah, that's what I was doing. I was continuing my classes. I was continuing the rest of my senior classes. I also did do the capstone. I did do the capstone, which was another like requirement. My teachers, when I showed them that online, they said that was honestly one of the best that they've seen. During like March and April, when I did find out that I was graduating early, this is when I decided to tell everybody on social media that I do have a kid. Everyone was being very supportive and stuff, so I was very happy about that. Another thing, so I was out of school, and also my fiance, my daughter's dad, he was also doing really well. He was a senior, but he was still getting his classes together and stuff, and we were both graduating on time. That I was technically like class of 2023 now, like I was a senior. I remember there was times where I did have to go into the building. I was way more confident now going into the building, by the way. I was way more confident. I remember we went into the gym. There was like a senior thing that they were doing. They were like showing our baby photos to like our grown-up photos. I just felt so proud. And I remember there was a senior picnic or something. I don't know what it was called. That was also a really, really good time. I think that was also the day that we were picking up our yearbooks, which I decided to do. A lot of sweet people, came up to me and just hugged me and just was being so fucking sweet to me, especially when I also grabbed my cap and gown. It just made me feel so good because, like I said, like again, before I was so fucking lonely. Like I felt like I had nobody. So the fact that, people were just coming up to me, just hugging me, it just made me feel so good. Oh, I also did forget to mention that I did take my SAT too. I did have to go into the building. I was with another friend, also able to do that. I took my SAT. I actually don't really know how I did. I probably did okay. Good thing was that I also went to prom. I went to homecoming. I only went to homecoming one time, which was in sophomore year. I never went to prom in my junior year, but me and my fiance thought it would be a good idea to do prom because, it's practically both of our last years in school. Why not do it? Again, I also got a lot of compliments and just sweet words from people around me. Just me feeling like I just did not have anybody. A lot of people were being very nice to me, which I really appreciated. And I honestly did look kind of cool. Not cool. Honestly did kind of look pretty good at prom, me and my fiance. So yeah, and then that's when graduation happened. I forgot the exact date. I know it was sometime in May, but I remember graduation day started. I was so fucking happy. I remember we bought like our daughter a little outfit to wear, and she had like a little graduation cap. It said, "Congrats, mom and dad." Me and my fiance were both graduating. We were both getting on the stage. My family came. A lot of his family came, and I walked the stage. I was very happy. I was really, really, really proud of myself. This was a little bit of an awkward time because this was like a new class. Like if I wasn't talking to people in my original class, what makes you think I was talking to people, upperclassmen? But I had my fiance. He was there every step of the way, and it was just really, really nice. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. I graduated at 16. I had all of my classes done. I did not have to worry about high school at all. It was, again, another kind of bittersweet moment. More sweet because obviously it's good that I'm out of school, but I would also say bitter because at the same time, it's like I definitely did wish that I would have made my high school years the best. Freshman year was literally just COVID, so that doesn't even count. It was 2020. It was literally COVID, so I literally didn't even have a freshman year. I don't even count that as a school year. Sophomore year was definitely the funnest, but also the most craziest year for me. I was always skipping. I was drinking. I was going to parties. Like I was surrounded by the worst people ever. that was my year where I just didn't give a fuck. So it was a fun year, but it was also very bad for me. Junior year, you know, my current year, I was pregnant the entire time, which wasn't like the biggest issue. It was mostly just the fact that I didn't have anybody and I was in pain all the time. And now I didn't have a senior year. So it definitely was a little bit sad in a way that I just did not have the best school years, like, at all. But again, you know, I was thankful. I'm happy that I was able to graduate early. I'm happy that I was able to kind of break the statistic, because again, it's like most teen moms don't graduate from high school. They don't. These are teen moms 15 to 17. I'm not talking about older teen moms who are adults and way easier time navigating their situation than a little kid does. But you know, so I was happy. I broke that statistic. I'm continuing to break statistics. I'm currently in college right now. I'm actually about to graduate college early 2025. I want to make another video about that, talking about my college experience as a teen mom, because again, that's also another crazy thing. And the fact that I am going to be graduating, I'm going to be 18 years old when I get my bachelor's degree in IT. I definitely want to make like another video about that, because that's also a big accomplishment. But yeah, guys, this was a very, very long video. But if you guys like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.